Hey, what's cracking? Deps Pneumonik in this hell. And I'm about to do this little interview. Shout out Archivist and Ethan for putting this together. I don't do a bunch of interviews, but it's cool. Let's get on this here. Can you give us a brief background of my origins with the hip hop scene? Now, I wouldn't consider myself like a scenester at all of any type. My mom was really into funk music. My dad was a Quela flute player in some bigger African bands. So I really grew up on music. I'm sure that's a big story amongst a lot of people. Uh, but I lived in a lot of cities when I was young. I went to a lot of schools. I was born here on the island, and my mom remarried. We went to San Diego, California, and then I, went back to the Lower Mainland. Met a bunch of people in high school and just started rapping because I love the music and the culture. I grew up mostly on gangster rap. That's my main influence in terms of like style and culture. California gangster rap music for sure, and more than just G funk, like real G shit. Um, but I'm a conscious person, so I not that gangster rap isn't conscious, but I just kind of have a whole different dimension where I took my stuff as I met these other people and started rapping with them, mostly in high school. Um, in the Vancouver area, mostly in high school. I met with Dave. I met with June Tan. I met with a whole bunch of people, and just we just started going ham. What are the origins of of Deps Mnemonic now? You know, I use Deps as a name that I for writing, and mnemonic I think was suggested by like some people like June Tannen and people like that, and myself at the time, and we, everything was really based on dope styles and everything for. I wasn't much of a writer, but the name just came around. Mnemonic means, it has to do with memory, and I think I have a really significant photographic memory, which gives me some special abilities, in certain avenues. So Deps Mnemonic, and it's just that's where it came from. Deep guy. How would you describe the distinctive differences between Victoria and Vancouver scene? Now, I don't really look at it like that because I was just all over the place, in all those different towns, hanging out with everybody, all those different places. So I don't really see a division in scene or differences per se. I think at that time it was just a lot more to do with getting together and people practicing all of their craft together. Rapping, writing, and just it was just so awesome. So many different people with so many different talents. To this day, when I look back at it, these people still have even formed careers with these arts that they've done, and there was definitely not much of a divide. I think in Vancouver, obviously, and in Seattle, there's more venues and more population to adhere to when you're doing performances. Hey, what's up, sweetie? Yeah, I love you. Anyway, that's what it is right now. Um, how did you originally meet Emotions, Big Route, and House? Dave, I went to high school with. We had a lot of friends which we made around the city because we're really like outgoing guys, cool guys. Similar kind of a weird timing when we met in terms of like he had just come from New York, and I'm sure he'll tell that story, and. I was recently in California, and just we just kind of put those things together, our interests in the music, and branched out and went to different parties and liked to explore, and met friends, and met those guys, and they were into it as well. Sean House to this day, one of the greatest producers out there. Period. Just a great composer of art and music. It's insane. Yeah, and those guys, we just kind of formed, said we're gonna be a rap crew, per se, Fourth World, and yeah, we did that. We put out a tape that was kind of like, we did that. We were proud of it. We were having fun with it, and then it just kind of like buzzed a bit, and kind of, it did like in a way throughout the. It took off, in the sense that it was just really cool and original and fucking just raw as fuck, and we just kind of had our own way of doing stuff. Um, what was it like competing at Sound Wars as far as where I barely remember that kind of stuff, but in the sense that I know, I know it wasn't the best in the sense of like the audio and at that age, my ability personally to project lyrically out through mics and you never were doing any like sound checks really a lot of that or really know what even like it sounded like, so it was an interesting time. It's just so raw, but I think all those experiences are cool, like just in the sense that I'm sure if I watched this documentary I would see people that I'd be like, man, I can't even believe that they were in that time. Some of those guys are probably like deans at Princeton, like I'm the dean. I'm just kidding. Anyways, those times were funny as hell, but awesome. I really take pride in being part of that. What was it? What caused the transition to Fresh Coast? I don't know so much if it's a transition thing. I mean, these things just developed. We started meeting more and more people, and bringing more people into it. And we're not personally bringing people into it, but everyone just kind of was a unit, like a collective of a sense. And then we're like, yo, we're gonna. We did all these songs and, let's put all these songs together and they'll drop like a tape, like a Fresh Coast tape or a Naps Crew tape type of thing. And like, to this day, like if we put some of these MCs together, A-Sun, Emotions, myself, Rap, I'll name all these people, Zach Self, Lace Cadence, these types of people, like, there's so many, between all those cities, will give you problems, man. That's, all these people can really rap, bro. Seriously. And they're very humble people, not even really trying to be like on a wave like, that some people think. I've heard stories of you being one of the most unorthodox wordsmiths ever in BC history. If possible, how could you describe your lyrical style? BC history, man, I'm one of the most, like, BC, if you mean before Christ and after Christ, after death, I'm one of the rawest in terms of, like, maybe not delivery. I'll start with the negatives because rappers always want to either be too humble or too over the top. I'll start with the negatives. I've never been the best, like, I never had the best voice for rapping or the best enunciation, period. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to actual wordplay, lyricism, and like spellbinding, like bars, like I'll fuck with anybody on that level. Like for real, I'll give you hassles. I'm trying my style. I'll describe my style like this. It's like an alien abduction regression through hypnosis meets Hangar 18, the 6th file down from the left and the 34th bunker to the right, brought to light at the same time that you had just discovered the core proportions of your DNA, and everything that you ever stood for through looking through your child's eyes. That's the kind of shit I'm on. You know what I'm saying? Like I can put that all into a 60. When you seen a hot, what's the aura like performing at Fernwood back in the day? Fernwood, it's funny, like as an adult, most of my time I've actually lived in Victoria, so I think a lot of it is like, maybe trying to relate to too many things from that time was we just going around doing shows. Yeah, so awesome. It was just cool, always cool going to these venues. Didn't care how much was made, like, off of the show at all. I was just trying to rock, man, and I know everybody else around me was. We was trying to get it, just trying to just go off, and it's so pure and so much youth and energy, and just cool. I got so many friends to this day from that era, and I'm so grateful for that because I think it was really special. We've seen you come on a hiatus with Dark Files Omega Volume 2 about a couple years ago, and now supposedly the upcoming London Drugs compilation. Why the long wait? What can we expect next? I wasn't. There's no real waits per se. I did Doc Boys projects. I did a lot of projects with my boy Zach here throughout the years. Made a lot of different music. In terms of the Deps Pneumonik branded thing, I just felt like it was time to like drop the volume 2 of that, and I did all the production myself. On my iPhone on GarageBand and recorded it on my iPhone in my car, and just I wasn't ready to do that type of stuff again unless I had gone to another level of maturity like psychologically and intellectually, which I felt I had reached. So there you go, and now I'm kind of in a bit of a wave, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. Um, what's the closing questions here? With ever growing use of the term "do it for the culture" and rising in hip hop's media, how do you define doing it for the culture in terms of hip hop? I don't know. I never really played that one. Like, do it for the culture. I mean, each person in themselves is a culture. Like what they're, the blending of their parents and their ancestry. So if you're doing true for yourself and you really feel like you're on the path you're supposed to be, I mean, you're doing it for the culture. You know what I mean? Not everybody. Hip hop is just one facet of human creativity. So there's no like the realest shit to me is just what I mean. Just if you're doing what you feel you should, and it's healthy and not harmful, but it progresses yourself and others around you care about. In no numerical order, the top 5 rappers to ever live in BC. Man, I don't know. Whoever anybody likes. I mean, there's so many dope rappers all over the place. I'm sure I could get into that, but I really won't, in the sense that like I don't really have like a top 5. I mean, I like a lot of people's stuff that they do, with music and stuff, and I listen to a lot of it, and so as I grow with music, I grow to like some of the artists that maybe I didn't listen to when I was a kid, or it's interesting. But yeah, top 10 lists and top 5 lists and stuff. I ain't got that. Dial on times whatever. I guess. It's like I'm just I know I'm in there. I know I'm in there for sure. That's just kidding. That's it. Peace. It's Deps Pneumonic. Dark Files Omega Volume 2 is available. If you want to just look up Dark Files Omega Volume 2 on YouTube. I just want you to listen to it. It's all there. I don't care. I make money in other ways. I never needed music to make money. I always did it just to be the most savage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.